News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Kim Fisher.
And I'm Don Hudson. Right now on ABC4 News at 5. We have new information about a Hopper teen shot and killed during a Memorial Day camping trip. Now, it appears the shooting was an accident, but the charges against the shooter are quite serious. New at 5, ABC4's Noah Bond, live in our newsroom. And Noah, exactly what led up to this teen's death?
Don, it was a conversation about trust. Now, these two brothers were talking about the subject when the older brother picked up a gun and swung it at his brother's head. A .45 caliber 911 style handgun fired once. The bullet struck Cameron Charlton in the left temple. He died almost instantly. The shooter talked with police afterward. Eric Charlton said that he started screaming for someone to call 911 and to help him save his brother. Eric said that he lay him on the ground and started to render aid. Paramedics pronounced Cameron dead near the campfire. Earlier in the evening, Eric was talking with his younger brother Cameron and his 16-year-old friend. The three were sitting around the fire and had been drinking beer, and that Eric had also been drinking Captain Morgan rum. The Juab County Sheriff says Eric was heavily intoxicated. It was in this setting that he took the conversation about trust to the next level. The brothers were talking about trust when Eric picked up the gun and swung it towards Cameron, and it went off. Eric thought the gun was empty. He said he was surprised by the weapon discharging and doesn't know when he put a round in the chamber. Tonight, Cameron's family is planning his funeral as his brother Eric sits in the Juab County Jail, where he appears to be very distraught about the incident. The Charlton family is asking for privacy during this very difficult time. Reporting live from the newsroom, Noah Bond, ABC4 News.
Now to Provo, where more than 100 stolen items have been recovered. Now, police believe they're from a string of vehicle and storage shed burglaries. 7 people have now been arrested. ABC4's Marcos Ortiz shows us what police have found.
Acting on a tip, a Provo police officer uncovered this. Hundreds of stolen items taken by thieves. Now, Provo police want you to take a close look to see if you're missing something.
You know, a bunch of stuff getting stolen. It's not just been me, it's the condos back here.
Tiffany Buchanan says someone stole 3 of her children's bikes. She always suspected her neighbors 2 houses down, but could never prove it.
It's been hard to catch them, I would suppose, because the police have tried coming in and out and asked the neighbors to say, if you see anybody there, you know, call us and let us know.
But Friday, police came to this storage shed in Provo on a report of a burglary. And once the officer investigated, he learned there was a much bigger problem. Several of the storage units had been burglarized.
The storage sheds are divided by sheetrock. So they would then tunnel through the sheetrock into the adjacent storage shed, take any property of value from that storage shed, and then move on to the adjacent storage shed from there.
A routine traffic stop led to the arrest of these 5 suspects. Police say inside their vehicle were items allegedly tied to the storage shed burglary.
The vacant home was being used by several individuals who were basically squatting in the home. It was sort of a flop house where they would stay and they'd collect their items from their vehicle burglaries or storage shed burglaries, and they'd store those items in the garage.
Among the items seized, bicycles. The suspects lived 2 houses down from the Buchanans. Tiffany Buchanan isn't sure those bikes are her kids, but she plans on paying police a visit.
Are you glad these guys are out of your neighborhood?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be gone forever, but I know they're at least gone for now.
Now, you can come down to the Provo Police Department to claim ownership of any of your property, but you need some kind of a receipt. Might be a good reminder to always jot down a serial number. In Provo, Marcos Ortiz, ABC4 News.
Also new at 5, police are trying to determine who stole this GMC Yukon last night, then drove it to a remote part of Salt Lake City and torched it. Smoke from the SUV could be seen from miles away. When officers arrived, they found a gas can and a lighter sitting in the area. One home next to the vehicle was evacuated just as a precaution while crews put out the fire.
Also in Salt Lake City, state officials are waiting on the federal government today. Now, earlier this year, Utah applied for a waiver from the No Child Left Behind law. Today, the Education Secretary approved waivers for 8 states, but Utah was not one of them. The Obama administration is granting waivers to states that plan to improve the way they evaluate students. 19 of the 26 states that have applied have received their waivers. And it was a busy holiday weekend for the Utah Highway Patrol. The numbers were released this afternoon, and troopers pulled over more than 5,000 vehicles and handed out more than 2,200 speeding tickets. They also arrested 85 people for driving under the influence. But there is one number they were most excited about: 0. That's right, there were no fatalities on the roads this weekend.
Good news there.
Yeah.
Now to yet another case of someone trying to beat the train. This morning, the TRAX train smashed into a car after police say the driver of the car ran a red light. It happened about 800 South, 200 West. The driver of the car was injured, was actually taken to the hospital as a precaution. The wreck didn't do any major damage, and police are going to probably cite the driver for running the light.
Reports of gunshots made for some tense moments in a Salt Lake neighborhood today. One school, Roland Hall, was even put on lockdown because of that call. Well, after police did some digging, they learned it was all part of a history lesson at the school. One of Roland's teachers did a Normandy reenactment, and some blanks were fired off from a World War II rifle.
And once again, our apologies to our wonderful neighbors, and next time we'll be a bit more vigilant about letting folks know what we're doing.
Yeah, give 911 a call first before you do it. Okay, the students in Baxter's class say they learned quite a bit today, and they enjoyed the reenactment more than just sitting in class.
Now to a shocking scene in the sky and on the ground. Parts of a jet with hundreds of passengers on board fell from the sky and onto cars. The plane was forced to make an emergency landing after losing an engine just after taking off. ABC's Jim Avila has the latest from Washington.
Listen as the pilot of the Air Canada 777 declares an emergency landing.
We just want to confirm we have the trucks ready at the end of the runway. We'll have a full response. They'll be there for you.
The jumbo jet, carrying 318 passengers from Toronto to Tokyo, has lost half of its takeoff power. One of its 2 engines blowing at a critical time, liftoff.
We had, I guess, people calling in saying that they saw smoke and flames coming from the plane.
And as the pilot turns back to the airport, thousands of feet below, parts of the plane's engine begin to rain down in a Toronto suburb. Hot metal falling to earth, shattering glass and frightening drivers.
And I found this little black rock on my windshield. Picked it up, it's really hot, so I put it back down.
The superheated shards still warm when reporters arrive.
It smells like gasoline, and it's quite heavy, and it's warm.
It's rare, but not unheard of. Just last week, a private charter jet dropped its main cabin door on takeoff. It bounced past some Florida condos and onto a golf course.
It's got to come out somewhere. If something breaks, it's going to come off the airplane. Engine manufacturers have gone to great lengths to ensure that if an engine does fail, that parts of that engine don't come out of the engine and hit the cabin itself and endanger the people in the cabin.
As for the Air Canada flight, it landed safely at Toronto's Pearson International Airport, passengers unaware of what had just happened below.
When it powered down, no one seemed to bat an eye, and no one seemed to think anything was odd.
The Canadian version of the Transportation Safety Board is investigating, but all indications are the pilots did exactly the right thing in bringing that crippled plane back to the airport. Jim Avila, ABC News, Washington.
Now, ABC4's Pinpoint Weather, Utah's most accurate forecast.
Well, pretty quiet around here, but I tell you, from this past weekend's snow and rainstorm at Powder, they picked up several inches, so you could see the fresh snow on the ground there. Obviously still melting at this hour. We're 78 Ogden, 82 and 81 Salt Lake, Provo, respectively. Not much in terms of wind, but a beautiful night headed our way. Clear to at times partly cloudy. Oh, another nice, warm, bright day tomorrow. That's from north to south to east to west, but there's some changes as we head closer to the weekend. I'll have that coming up in a bit. Kim?
All right, thanks, Jim. It's the highest honor a United States civilian can receive. Next, meet those honored with a Medal of Freedom.
Plus, how some USU students turned their dreams into reality and created a device that could turn you into a wall-climbing superhero. Yes.
Tomorrow on Good Morning Utah, you know, we ladies, we spend a lot of money to make our nails look nice. There's a gadget, though, that says it will put a design on your nails for very cheap. The question is, does it work?
In Bicycling Magazine, they rated the top cities to bike in the United States. We're going to find out where Salt Lake City ranks on that list.
And the flirty girl is going to be here. And what will the flirtatious one do now? We'll see you tomorrow starting at 4:30.
It was a truly inspirational day at the White House as President Obama awarded 13 Medals of Freedom. Now, that's the nation's highest civilian honor. ABC's Karen Travers has more on the annual ceremony from Washington.
Outstanding achievement. That's the common denominator among today's Medal of Freedom recipients. President Obama awarded the nation's highest civilian honor to 13 political, cultural and athletic icons.
What sets these men and women apart is the incredible impact they have had on so many people, not in short, blinding bursts, but steadily over the course of a lifetime.
Among the honorees, a space pioneer, the first American to orbit the Earth.
John Glenn became a hero in every sense of the word.
The first female Secretary of State.
Madeline's courage and toughness helped bring peace to the Balkans.
The winningest coach in NCAA basketball history, who's now bringing her famous competitive drive to her own fight against Alzheimer's.
When I think about my two daughters, who are tall and gifted, and knowing that because of folks like Coach Summit, they're standing up straight and diving after loose balls.
And a rock legend who inspired generations with his songs.
I remember, in college, listening to Bob Dylan and my world opening up.
The president said that all of the honorees have made an impact on his life, and he counts Bob Dylan and author Toni Morrison as personal heroes. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Yeah, a lot of great people getting a great and well-deserved honor.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, have you ever wanted to be a superhero? Who hasn't? I mean, come on. Next, how some engineering students from USU have made their dreams of becoming wall climbers a reality.
That's nothing. So Transit of Venus, the ABC new weather app, and a whole lot more awaits you in a few more minutes.
You're watching ABC4 News in high definition.
Just love this story. An amazing invention created by students at Utah State University. It allows people to turn themselves into a superhero. The device allows you to actually quickly scale a vertical wall, all with the help of a little suction power. ABC4's Emerson Latzia joins us now in the studio live with more on this engineering marvel.
Yeah, Don, Utah State engineers are calling this device the Personal Vacuum Assisted Climber, or to make it much easier for you, the PVAC. Pretty much, you strap it on and boom, you're Spider-Man.
This is a PVAC, so what exactly is it?
Basically 2 vacuum packs that will hold you to the wall, each one holding over 300 pounds.
Check it out. This is video from last month's Air Force Research Laboratory Design Challenge in Ohio. The goal was to get 4 soldiers over a 90-foot wall without using a grappling hook.
The Air Force hasn't been able to solve it, so they gave it to the universities and their senior design programs to try and find a solution.
Utah State beat out 16 other schools, and some of them even developed a similar design as the so-called Aggie Super Sucker.
There was one team that actually did have a vacuum system, but they didn't suck enough.
And today, the team of 15 undergrads who designed this device put on a demonstration for everyone on campus. They also invited a few members of the Air Force ROTC program to give it a shot, although at first they were a little hesitant.
A vacuum, being able to go up a brick wall, I didn't really think that I wanted to be the one in the harness because it sounded like it was going to fall.
Yeah, obviously it didn't, but get this, guys. The Air Force may give Utah State another $100 grand to refine this PVAC for possible field use by the military. How cool is that? Live in the studio, Emerson Latzia, ABC4 News.
Now, ABC4's Pinpoint Weather, Utah's most accurate forecast.
You know who that would be perfect for?
Jim?
This man right here.
I would scale a good 10-foot wall.
You could give us the forecast from the side of, like, say, the Grand America.
Yeah, I think we have our next Jim's Journeys right there.
Yeah, the side of Grand America. It's
Let's
only
not
about 200
be shooting that high. Maybe one of the outer walls that from the parking lot to the street.
Like 8 feet, okay.
Yeah,
8-foot limit, all right.
I think they're about 4 feet. But nonetheless, some great weather. You know, these clouds are up at about 17,000 feet that you're looking at right here. But hey, listen, they're hardly anything. Nice shot, Lavelle Edwards Stadium in the backdrop there. Beautiful weather right up and down the Wasatch Front. Winds out of the north at 13. We're 82 degrees. That's your daytime high. Salt Lake, 76 Logan, 81 Wendover. Yeah, look at that. 79 Cedar City and 90 degrees in St. George. But listen up, kids. If you want to be a weather guy, weather lady, doesn't matter. All you have to do is go to abc4.com/pinpoint, download our new weather app. Every map that you see here that I'm using, you get to use. That's the sweetheart of the deal right there. And you know what else? Look at this. That right there, that's your latest cool front. That's going to swing in northwest to southeast. there's hardly anything in terms of wet weather associated with it. Just a couple light rain showers that are out over the northwestern deserts. That's all she wrote right there. In general, we'll probably shave a couple degrees off the temperature tomorrow compared to today. But what I think is more of a concern, once that front goes through, south and east of the Wasatch Front, you're going to get some gusty winds coming down off the mountains. So Price Castle Country corridor on southward, red flag warnings hoisted. That's for tomorrow morning on into the evening hours. But if you're going to be out and about, don't let that wind be a deterrent. Your bike cast looking good. Lots of warmth. Emigration Canyon in the 70s along with Bonneville Shoreline. Ooh, Canyonland's burning up almost to 90 degrees. Park City area, lots of sun. Temps in at 67. You don't want a bike? Maybe you want to head down for a little RSL action this evening? Well, yeah. Lamar Hunt U.S. Open starts right here. And 78 degrees as boop, kick the ball. Looking good. Pinpoint forecast. Looking all right. Low temperature, high temperature, low temp, high temperature. So next 24 hours, breaking it down for you. Looking good. Sky symbol for tomorrow. Big yellow ball in the daytime sky. Looking really nice right there. Kanab starts off tomorrow at 48, ends up at 87 degrees. Up the road, Orderville and Bryce. Temps in the 70s tomorrow. How sweet of a deal is that? Come on into the west central part of the state with me because we're talking Beaver. There you go, 75 degrees, maybe Milford, starting tomorrow off at 46 degrees. So again, nighttime lows on the left, daytime highs tomorrow on the right-hand side. And we are talking sunshine and nothing but. Right along the Wasatch Front, check this stuff out, 74 degrees, mostly sunny skies in Ogden. So again, a little bit cooler than what we had today. Not a lot, that's for sure. Nothing in terms of wet weather. 75 degrees in Bountiful. You will need a pair of sunglasses. Pair of 7s, West Valley. Salt Lake's in at 78. The average high this time of year just so happens to be 76 degrees. Pass Point of the Mountain, Lehigh's in at 78 degrees. Ooh, that's nice and bright in Provo at 78 degrees. Last but not least on the hip parade, that's Payson, 78 degrees, lending us into our Pinpoint 7A Wasatch Front forecast. Nice and bright next several days. We're going to be warming things up slowly. Thursday, Friday, warmest day, Saturday, bar none. On Saturday, maybe a stray afternoon thunder shower in the mountains. I won't cancel any outdoor plans right now, but in advance of a storm system next week, the wind's going to start to huff and puff Sunday, Monday. Rain shower threat isn't really until next week for most of us, but hence the cooler weather, dropping down in. But really the threat to get wet is more Cedar City on northbound, not so much St. George. So 90s by day, 60s and 70s by night. And on Tuesday, a week today, it just so happens to be the transit of Venus, the sun, Venus and the Earth all in alignment, much like remember the recent annular solar eclipse. This won't be as spectacular, but Venus will pass in front of the sun starting at 4:10 in the afternoon across the northern part of the state. Probably a little bit too much cloud cover. As you can see, Park City over toward the Castle Country. That may throw a wrench into the works, but down the road in Dixie, a little bit brighter weather, so perhaps we could see it if you want to make that travel, because you know what? Venus is really... You know, it's only going to be a small dot that you could see passing in front of the sun with your viewer, so it's only about 5% coverage area, so it's not going to look as spectacular. But it's the only one in our lifetime. The next one's not until the year 2125.
Well, I'll still be around. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well, advances in medicine.
You'll be frozen.
I don't know what state I'll be, but I'll be around.
Right.
Exactly. All right,
thanks, Jim. Okay, Video Nation starting now in Williamsville, New York. People in this restaurant got quite the surprise when an elderly couple slammed their car into the dining area. The driver apparently lost control of the vehicle and drove right through the wall. Well, the elderly man and woman inside the car were both injured. So were 2 other people inside the store. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. In Port St. Lucie, Florida, a tornado leaves a monstrous path of debris all across town. Fences were torn down, sheds destroyed, even a portion of this roof was sheared off. Now the community is coming together to clean up this mess. No one was injured during that storm.
All right, talk about surprises. Monrovia, California, a holiday visitor that you wouldn't expect. A bear decides to take a swim in a backyard pool. 2 sisters were home at the time, captured the swim on their cell phone, taking pictures. And right here you see a little video. The bear was heard to say, "Come on in, water's fine." They didn't bite. The bear eventually wandered back into the wilderness, and that is your Video Nation at 5.
He just wanted to cool off a little bit. All right, slip on your blue suede shoes and get ready to swivel your hips. That's what I'm doing right now. A new musical is feeding your love for the late, great classics.
Well, it's a walk for the money. 2 for the show. The 3 to get ready. Now go, Capcom.
Now that's the cast of $1 Million Quartet. They've performed a live preview of their show at the Gateway today. The musical features hits by Johnny Cash, Elvis, as you just heard, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins.
The show is very electrifying and is exciting and live in that sense that we are playing all the music, and it's just something to be a part of as opposed to sit and watch. It's something to come interact with.
Did you see he even had the hair?
Yeah.
All right, the quartet will debut tonight, then run every night through June 3rd. For more information, just visit our website, abc4.com, and click on the orange box.
Got to be a lot of fun to play those hits. That is just great, fun music.
You'll be there for sure.
And when Jim comes back, he'll sing the forecast.
Well, the gauntlet was laid down by our own Mr. Hudson, so...
Sing it. Sing it, weatherman.
Summertime, summertime, sunshine.
Instantly.
Yeah, that's what we get tomorrow. Hey, if that's bad enough, you could go to abc4.com/pinpoint and download our latest app.
Yeah, it won't sing to you, so
What?
that's good. Yeah, exactly.
What?
Your ear. We're out of time. World News is next. Kylie Brent will be back at 6 with no singing.